This could be the product you didn't know you needed for duck season. Let me explain. The 2024 duck season. What I was doing was I was getting the boat ready, and I realized that I was putting the blind on it, and I realized I haven't done a video on the blind because last year I was kind of a trial period. I was getting used to it, but I've got the blind hooked up, and I wanted to go through and walk through you guys with kind of some things that I did differently to it. I had to modify it a couple times to fit my boat, and I also put a different kind of grass on it this year. So guys, let's walk through it right now. All right guys, this right here is the beaver tail boat blind for a 16-foot boat. That's what I've got, is a 16-foot boat. I've hunted out of it a lot last couple years. This is the boat. So one thing I wanted to go and talk about right off the bat is that I bought a 16-foot blind for a 16-foot boat. But what happened was the way you mount this thing, it was way too big. It was probably literally 16 feet. Okay, there's actually poles in here. There's metal poles that you put together and build this thing with. And so it was too narrow at the front to put the things where you got to clamp it. And I'll explain that in a second. But what I had to do was take one length of it out, and so I'm running 3, which means I have a 12-foot blind on a 16-foot boat. Had to do some modifications that I'll show you guys in a second, but I think it turned out pretty good. I've also blinded it a little different. I've added a little different grass this year because last year the grass, I tried to kind of wing it, to be honest with you guys, and it didn't work out. I tried to go the cheap route. Definitely did not work out. I'll show you guys how I grass the blind, and I'll show you guys how to mount it and so forth, and we'll put this thing up, and by the end of this video, we'll be ready to hunt. Right here is the bracket, and what this does essentially is you hit this dowel right here, and then you're able to slide this in and out. See? So what you want to do is you want to push it up against the blind there and then tighten that down as much as you can. So there's one on both sides. I've got this one mounted right in front of the motor. You can see this is a little bit of a conflict. The tiller handle right here can be a little bit conflicted. I actually normally stand up and kind of run the boat with the tiller handle up like that. That's just preference. I guess I could scoot the blind this way a little bit if I needed to, but this is just the way it worked out, and this is the way I hunted out of it last year, and it worked okay. First thing we're going to do is take these straps loose right here. What that does is it keeps it from going off when you're driving the car or whatever. Now this thing comes with a big thick plastic cover that's designed to go around the blind when you're driving it down the road, down the highway. It keeps your grass in there, and it also keeps it packed down so it doesn't flop open when you're driving. So I'm going to take that off real quick, and then we'll look at the blind. So mostly it just straps, it's buckles, and they go all the way down. Sometimes they can be really tight and hard to do, but I found with this grass it's a little easier. And I also have it grassed it in all the way because I wanted to show you guys kind of how I grass it too. So once you get that unhooked, you can pull this out. There you go. All right, so now we're in the boat, okay? And I've got my decoys in front of me. Let's pretend I'm sitting in the boat. I'm about to go on a hunt. And what I want to do now is I want to pull the blind over us. So just reach and you're able to grab it, and it just kind of real easily just goes over the top. Now we're in the blind. Check this out, okay? One thing I've noticed about this blind is actually it's a great windbreaker, and it's actually traps heat very well, which will be a good thing, I promise. When it's really windy and really cold, this thing will act as like a tent, and you will feel a lot more comfortable in the boat than you do out there. And obviously it protects very well. As you can see, it's wrapped in a canvas. The whole thing is a canvas blind with camo on it, obviously, and then you put the grass on top of it. Now what that canvas does is it provides a good backdrop for your grass, so when that bird's coming in, it can't see anything. There's no mesh, there's no nothing. And it also, what it does is it casts a shadow over the boat. So I've got the sun basically right over the camera here, and this blind is actually casting a shadow over the top. It's going to help me hide. Obviously you'd like the sun to your back still, but it also helps you keep a dark spot in here, similar to a pit. If you've ever hunted a pit blind, you want to stay in the shadows there. So, and then what we've got too is 3 shooting holes, and it actually was 4 shooting holes, but again I had to make some modifications. All right, let's discuss the major modifications that I make, as you can see before me. So this is actually how you hook this up. I would have done a video on how to build it, but I built it last year and I didn't think about it. But this is how you actually put it together. It's basically metal conduit that's screwed together by 2 bolts, okay? And then this one's actually bent like this, and then it comes into this bracket here, which is actually your swinging part. So the modifications I made is right here. And what I did was when I installed it, it actually filled out the blind. The blind was tight and sized correctly, but the blind itself was way too big for the boat. So what I did was I took one of those links completely out, and so now I have 3, and I hope I'm able to describe this well enough for you, but now I have 3 right here. And what I did was I just hooked the U-bend into the 3rd one, and I actually cut a slit. So this is actually the thing that this part right here is where the conduit is supposed to slide through. And what it was doing was it slid, since I had too much blind, it slid all the way over here, and it would be like right here. Well, as the blind bunched up like that, I did not have enough room, enough coverage on the front of my boat with this blind. So what I did was I cut back, I cut a hole right here, slid this one out, screwed it in, and then I just ran the U part right into here. And what that did was that allowed me a bunch of extra slack right here, and so I can actually cover the rest of my boat on both sides. So that's the modifications I made to the blind. It took me a while, but I think it was worth it. So last year was the year of the trial with this thing. I was actually not super happy with it. As far as the quality goes, it was great quality, but I wasn't happy with it bunching up the way it did. I wasn't happy with how big it was. So I made a couple modifications this year, and I changed the grass, which is what I want to talk to you guys next, because I didn't think the grass was such a big deal, but it actually is. I used the grass that was designed to go on the boat instead of one that I tried to kind of get away with that I probably shouldn't have. This is what it looks like when it's not blinded at all. All right, it's on my boat. It's just the other side, okay? There's the grass line. I hadn't finished it yet. So here's what we got. We got these straps, okay? Similar to a layout blind. If you've ever been in a layout blind, this is what you'll see pretty regular. And so this blind is designed for you to get this kind of grass and put it in there. Now, I couldn't find a very good video on what to do it, how to do it, blah, blah, blah. Another reason kind of why we're here today. This right here is the grass that I bought. For some reason, the name of it is escaping my mind. What I'm gonna do after I film this video, before I post it, is I'm gonna go back and find it, and I'm gonna put it over the screen right now so you know what I'm talking about. But I got it off of rogerssportinggoods. This particular grass came in a 20-pound option, which is really the reason I bought it. So I showed you guys the grass that I've used this year and the grass that you see behind me. I want to show you guys what I used last year, just so you guys don't ever do this. And this is what it was. This is a sheet grass on Rogers as well. You can buy sections of this sheet grass. And basically what I did was, I had it mounted up here and zip tied to one of the straps there, and then I had it like that, which you would think would be fine, but it's obvious to me, just being here, standing here looking at it and kind of having done both, that the grass, this frilly grass, is a lot better for this blind than this. I thought it would work, it just really didn't work. I put a picture up right now of what I'm talking about. I've got a couple pictures of the blind with the grass from last year. Now, one thing you want to do for sure is get you a box to lay under the grass, because once you break it open from this and kind of unravel it, it's going to go everywhere, and you don't want to lose any of this, because I've found that 20 pounds probably won't even be enough to finish this blind, because I've only got like 2 of these rolls left. So you don't want to lose any of it. But then once you get it unwrapped, it's just tangled up. So what I do is I untangle it kind of like this, and I set it on this box, get me a good untangle, because I want like each strand to be separate. And then what I do, I hope you guys can see, then what I do is I just grab a couple handfuls, kind of rake it out with my hand, and then I get it like this. I've got it in my hand, and ultimately what we're going to do is separate, push together like this, and then we're going to make a loop like that, and then we're going to shove it through those things, come back, and then we're going to feed the tag in through the loop and pull down. You'll see what I mean in a second. So I've got my strap like this, and then what I'm gonna do is feed it through like that, put my hand through it there, pull there, and then I'm gonna pull down, okay? And that's one. Spread it out a little bit. You don't have to be as thick as you would think you'd need to be, because this thing is layered, right? So, I mean, this one I just put on is like every bit of 3 feet long. And so if you think about having one of those on each layer, it actually thickens as it goes down, which is a good thing. And one of the things that I like about this kind of grass. So let's do it again. We got that covered. Let's get another handful. Bunch of grass here. Repeat the same process. I'm actually going to start on the bottom on this one. Repeat the same process. Come around, through, pull. Again, if you've ever blinded like a layout boat, or I mean a layout blind or anything like that, you're familiar with this process. But when I did this the first year, I couldn't find a good video on it, which I don't know about you guys, but I learned everything I know on YouTube. So first thing I did when I bought this thing was how do you grass it, find it on YouTube. There really wasn't any great videos. It seems so stupid now, but back then, you know, obviously I didn't know. So it is what it is. And if you're one of these people that likes these kind of tasks that you feel like you're getting somewhere, like you're checking things off of a list, for example, this is definitely the project for you, because you'll be able to obviously see your progress, which is fine. Guys, now we got to get it ready to go back on the road, which means we got to break it back down and put it in its case, and we'll do that right now. So first thing I do is I get the back tucked inside, so that way when you fold it back down it'll be all crunched in. I do the same on the front, and then it rides on this side. So what we're going to do is just pull it down, and it comes down like that. Now what we got is we've got this black tarp. It's got little buckles on it, see, and it just goes together like so, okay? And so what we're going to do is we're going to put we're going to lay it down flat. What I like to do is lay it down flat next to the boat. And what I do is I leave more on this side than I do back here, because that's the side that's going to be hit by all the wind when you're driving down the road. So I'll leave more on that side, and I'll hook it around the side. You'll see in a minute what I'm talking about. But first things first is you just got to put it under the blind, which is the hardest part. So then I grab this part and I move it over, and I pick up and I set as much of it under as I can. All right, now what we're gonna do is set it down on top, okay? That's step number one. In the middle, and I like to just button one of the middle ones. And so you gotta kind of feel around for it in there, and boom, button up. Now you just gotta repeat that process all the way down both sides. So here's what I'm talking about. You put a little bit of it on the front here. It kind of goes around the edge, what we're talking about. So we wrap it up in the front so the wind kind of blows right over the top of that. I don't know if it makes a difference. This is just what I do, especially because you're going to have extra anyway. It's a little longer. Like I said, I made the blind smaller than it was originally designed to be. So the cover is designed to be 17 feet long or whatever, so I have a little extra room, but I always scoot it down a little bit just so I can capture that front edge. And then here's what we got working. We got buckles all the way down the end, all the way to the back, and then there it is. So guys, I hope you like this video. This is kind of a little different, but like I said, I'm going ahead and getting ready for duck season. I know you guys are too. And I wanted to bring up some of the nuances. You may be having a boat this year for your first time, or you may be wanting to buy a boat blind. You may be on the fence on buying a boat blind. And I wanted to go ahead, make this video, and go ahead and tell you guys what I thought about the boat blind last year, what high hopes I've got going into this year, and kind of how it's turned out. So guys, this is how I'm going into duck season. This is the whole point of the My Gear series. It's so I can break down some gear, because a lot of people, you know, I'm not sponsored by a ton of people. So I can have an objective view on it, and I can kind of give you my honest opinion, which is what I think you guys want, and it's what I would want as a viewer. It's just an honest opinion. I'm not sponsored by Beavertail here, but I do think they have a good product, and I wanted to go ahead and point that out. You'll be seeing some stuff on my Instagram about it later on. So guys, if you want to pick one up, you can pretty much get it anywhere, but their best place to do it is on Beavertail website, and then you can go to beavertailblinds.com or whatever it is, and then I'll put that link down there, and then I also I'll show you guys the grass. I'll put the link for the grass down in the description below. All right, so guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give me a thumbs up. You're not going to want to miss this duck season. It's going to be an absolute banger. It's going to be the best year yet that you guys have spent with me. So guys, I'm looking forward to it. I know you are too. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next one.